Today we're going to be working on this 2003 Honda Accord that I picked up at the auction. I thought it was in a little better shape than it was. Turns out it's pretty wrecked, so I'm going to try to make the best of it. First things first, I obviously ordered a new radiator for it, which arrived. I just don't have the, there's a thermostat housing piece right here, this guy, that needs to be replaced as well, and I'm waiting for that to come in, which should be here on Monday, and then we'll work on that. But as for now, the alternator plug broke in the collision, so we're going to be replacing the alternator today, and I'm going to show you how to go about doing that. First things first, is a really tight space right here, so I was only able to get a wrench on it. It's a 14 millimeter on the belt tensioner, so I have a 14 millimeter wrench on it, but it's not long enough, so I'm going to use the old trick of putting two wrenches together to break that, or get that belt loose. So what you do is you just push on this, takes the tension off the belt. Right there is about as far as it'll go. Then you slip the belt off the pulleys. And voila, belt's off. First step done. Get the belt kind of out of the way. You don't have to undo the whole thing. Now the next thing we're going to do is, well, mine's obviously unplugged, but normally you'd have to unplug this, lay that to the side, and then take this nut off, 10 millimeter, and then we'll get after this guy, which is a 12. And then I think there's two more down on the bottom, which are also, maybe they're 10s. Let me find out. Okay, we're back. Turns out that they are 12s. So you have, let's see, one 12 here, then you have two more on the bottom. You have one here, and two more on the bottom, and then the plug, and then the 10 millimeter nut that's right here. That appears to be it for now, so I'm going to get started on cranking these bolts out, then we'll take that nut off the wire, and we'll go to there. Okay, I'm taking the last bolt out, and I think it's literally going to fall out. So I might have to put my camera down. Yeah, so I took the two out on the bottom first, and I took this one last, which is the longest. Now it's going to fall, so I'm going to set the camera down. I'm going to take the nut off that wire, and then it's completely out. Installation is pretty much the exact reverse. I sat it in there, twisted this one in to get it started so it'd hold itself up. Put the two in that are down here on the bottom. And side note, this is a positive, so make sure you undo your negative battery terminal before you start, because I had a little spark, so now I gotta go check fuses. But this is positive, so don't touch your wrench from here to here or you get sparks like I did. So I'm tightening that up, 10 millimeter, and then the 3 bolts, 12 millimeter. I got all 3 bolts tightened up. Again, they're 12 millimeter, one here, two down here, which you can see right here. It's a little bit easier when there's no radiator, but that's where they're at. And then plugged it in, hooked this up, put the cover back on it, and then did the opposite for the belt with the 14 millimeter wrench on the tensioner right here. And then you just reroute the belt the same way it went on before, which is up over top of your power steering here, down around the alternator, and there's another tensioner down here, right there. Then you should be good to go. I gotta do some more things like replace the radiator and the thermostat housing piece that broke as well. I gotta replace, and then I'll have her back together. But that's the steps it takes to replace your alternator on your K24.